channel.
The No Pressure channel presents the May event. This is a special event where we have you guys, the voters, decide which fighters should go against in which category. And yeah, you guys decided to vote on this one. And you already saw in the captions who we're having facing this one. But let me explain the rules to this particular fight, because this is a different fight from any other fight. It's villains in a cell match, which means obviously the basic rule is you have to be a villain. And the second thing is it's a cage, which means there is no way out. It's just straight up inside a cage. Winner takes all in that fight. So let me explain the basic rules of our event here. One, they're not always in particular order. Just have fun. This is just for fun. Everything I say is not a guarantee. There might be some arguments you guys might feel free to put down in the comment section below. Just be civil, where you might agree or disagree with me. Let's see what else. Number two, this had to be voted in by you, the supporters. So we've been doing this for TikToks for months. So you guys voted in these characters to go against each other in this particular match. And lastly, this one, we usually on our channel, we do a beatdown episode where we have you guys have two different arguments and we don't have a real clear winner. We just base our argument on which one we think would win on which fight on our end. And you guys decide which one you think was the best by hashtagging it. This time, we're only basing the argument on no ties. It has to be one clear winner. So we're going to make the argument on who should be the clear winner. And then you guys can decide whether or not it's actually good enough. Okay? Civil? All right, let us begin. On today's event, we are going to have in the Villains in the Cells match, we're going to have Solomon Grundy from DC Comics going against Lady Deathstrike. Hope I said that right. Lady Deathstrike from Marvel Comics. Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Now here are the characters', abilities. On one side, representing the Marvel realm, almost a counterpart to Wolverine, except a slower healing factor and less stronger, but still a deadly force to mess with. Her reflexes make her difficult to hit her with her adamantium 12-inch fingernails that can rip through anything. And if you think distance might help you, not a chance, with her nails being able to extend up to 24 inches. Lift up to 1 ton, which to some might not seem like much, but name a human who can lift a baby whale. And if you think you can tire her out, you'd lose that bet, because the lady can go for hours brawling before it even can affect her. She also no longer human and more cyborg, making it difficult to tap into her mind, and helps her link into other tech-based technology. She's fought with some of the best, including the X-Men and Big Hero 6, and has a special hatred towards the man himself, Wolverine. She has even gotten upgrades to her tech over the years, making her one of the deadliest women to step in a steel cage. On the other side, representing the realm of DC, the man who was born on the day we all dread, Monday. Coming back from the dead, the man came back with a new look and some pretty new cool powers. Let's talk about his muscle flex. Grundy can lift boats, tractors, trains, can rip vaults off the walls and trees off the ground. So if you think you have a cookie jar tight enough, sealed enough away from this man, from this undead man, you got another thing coming. How about this body flex? His body can absorb energies such as Dr. Fate's bolts and Green Lantern's ring. His entire body is bulletproof, so no cheap shots gonna work here, and is jet proof, as he took a giant jet dropped on him and still got back up. Impervious to flames, gas, knockout darts, batarangs. That's right, the batarang that can spawn a mark on his face, didn't do a damn thing to Grundy. And even if somehow you manage to slice him in any way, the wannabe freaking Frankenstein has a healing factor which works much more faster in his home field, the Slaughter Swamp. How about keeping him trapped? Well, then you would be looking at a ultimate doom. The guy can break through solid thick ice and even broken through Alan Scott's construct. So trapping him is not such a good idea. The opponents he's fought against are even of a flex to show how dangerous this Walking Dead bucket of bones really is. He took down old school comics Wonder Woman, Scott Allen's Green Lantern, and Jake Garrett's Flash. He at one point knocked out Superman. He tossed around the Marvel family. He fought off Atragon, and he single-handedly took on the Suicide Squad. So he's an opponent you don't want to be messing with. Okay, so let's talk about the end game. Who ultimately will win this? Let's just make the case here on both ends. Now, let's start off with Lady Deathstrike. Lady Deathstrike obviously has agility and reflexes on her side. Dude's a big dude, but he can't move as fast as she's going to be able to move considering her small stature. So there is some benefit to that on that end. On top of that, she is capable of lasting probably a lot more longer than Solomon Grundy in an all-out brawl. If they keep going, she's going to last a lot longer. She proved that in the comics, I guess, going against Hawkeye, if I'm not mistaken. And Solomon Grundy, at one point in the comics, fought against the Justice League and actually eventually got worn out and just went down completely. So at some point, he does run out of juice. But Lady Deathstrike has proven from time to time that she's capable of going pretty much all day at it with her full potential. And let's not forget the defense that she has. Now you're probably thinking, well, what kind of defense does she have? There's no way. Well, the adamantium skeleton, yes, that's going to come in handy. She's entirely structured out of adamantium skeleton or adamantium metal in her body. So yes, in the situation against Solomon Grundy, maybe Solomon Grundy might hit hard, but she could just raise her claws and just jam into his skin or something like that, or use it as a defense, because yeah, he's pretty strong, but that armor is pretty hard to penetrate. That metal is hard to penetrate, so he keeps breaking into it. It's not going to be doing any damage. So all she really needs to do during a situation on her using her defense is probably try to do a really high leap into the cage and then do one of those elbow drops or like a leg drop on him, using her adamantium body to just thrust him down with that speed and momentum. Going down on Solomon Grundy, I think he could get split into half, and that would probably put her at the favor and odds in that end. And the final point I'll make is Lady Deathstrike's, I'm having like a mouthful of marbles or something. Lady Deathstrike's ability for her cybernetic side. Now her cybernetic side has been getting an upgrade from particular characters in the Marvel realm, and they're very special because they were like advanced technology through magic, and some even through more advanced upgrades, giving her more of a superior complex abilities. Now with that cybernetic, making her more cybernetic than human, making her mind probably a lot more strategic when it comes to figuring out strategies against something that bigger than her. So maybe her cybernetic mind could help her strategize against putting Solomon Grundy down for the count, considering she still has the adamantium fingernails to kind of claw right into him. So she has him go 12 to 24 inches. So she could either get him up close or go far and just kind of jam him with it each time, creating distance or creating close-up range. Either way, her cybernetic mind might be able to help her strategize around Solomon Grundy's strategy, because Solomon Grundy doesn't really have a strategy. He just goes attacking like crazy. He doesn't really have like a fighting style tactic. He just goes with brute strength. And with Lady Deathstrike, it's not just aggression and strength, it's also strategical minds that come in handy when it comes against something that big, which could give her the advantage to get the supreme W off of him. Okay, now on the other end, you have the big guy himself, Solomon Grundy. Now, yes, adamantium is a very strong metal, and yes, it comes in handy in a fight against someone bigger and more superior than you, or maybe probably in strength wise more superior than you. But that being said, there's also an argument to be said about Solomon Grundy's healing factor. It still comes in handy during this fight. So yeah, adamantium body weapons might come in handy. It might be able to claw through him for a certain amount of time, but he might be able to heal back. Now, the difference between Lady Deathstrike and Solomon Grundy's healing factor is that if Lady Deathstrike gets hit with a very devastating blow, like a really good one that splits her open or rips her arm off, it does take some amount of time to repair that body part. It doesn't just heal right away. It's not like Wolverine's healing factor. With her healing factor, it was made based on magic and other things, so her cybernetic is just based on like healing herself in that kind of essence, but not like Wolverine's incredible healing factor. And Solomon Grundy's, in argument's sake, is probably a lot more faster in healing factor against Lady Deathstrike, and you know it'd be a lot faster if he was in his own slaughter, I think it's slaughterhouse or slaughter swamp, field, he would have a much more advantage. But since we're just keeping this in the cage and not an environment, yeah, I still think his healing factor does come into play. And also, let's not forget the brute strength he's got. I mean, obviously he's a lot stronger than Lady Deathstrike. 1 ton compared to what he can do going against people like Superman and stuff, muscle wise. If he gets you with that one devastating blow, that's gonna do some damage to you, and that's something that Lady Deathstrike is gonna need time to recover. And let's not forget, if he were to happen to grab her in any way, that's also gonna create a problem because she doesn't have the strength to kind of remove him off. So if she happens to get like her claws down and he grabs her like a soda can and starts crushing her, there's no way around that. Yeah, the adamantium body is gonna hold for a while, but I'm pretty sure her entire existence itself, or her living, is just going to completely go out at some point. She's going to go out cold, and then Solomon Grundy can just smash her in that kind of way. What Solomon Grundy lacks in brain, he has in brute massive strength and massive size. It wouldn't just be easy to slice him up. He's a giant dude. You would have to take your time cutting that guy into pieces. And let's not forget, when it comes to Lady Deathstrike and Solomon Grundy fighting wise, Lady Deathstrike hadn't had to fight a complete army full of guys or a small army full of like mutants and stuff. Sometimes she just fought single-handedly certain characters, and maybe she fought a few of the X-Men, but not for a long period of time. She would have a certain amount of time. With Solomon Grundy, that's a different story. He's fought on multiple occasions the Justice League characters, and they had to beat him with numbers. They couldn't just beat him with one guy. Superman couldn't just take him out every now and then. They had to get a squad of army of the crew to come and throw down with them. So there is an argument that in order for Lady Deathstrike to be able to even put this man down, she can't take him solo, mano a mano. It would be impossible. Not any of the Justice League members of the characters could in certain particular points in the comics. So that could be make the same argument with the Lady Deathstrike. So she would, unless she can make duplicates or copies of herself through like somehow create her body like that cybernetically, I'm not sure if that's possible, she's not going to be able to really put Solomon Grundy down with just one. She would need the numbers in order to put him down officially. So ultimately, who would win this fight? Obviously, you're thinking maybe who would do it. Okay, well, let's make the argument, shall we? So long fight. Yes, maybe Lady Deathstrike can last a long fight. That's a good point. But at the end of it all, Solomon Grundy is going to eventually get to her. I mean, he's gotten to a lot of the Justice League members who have a lot more incredible abilities with super speed and they can fly it and strength and everything like that, and he still managed to outpower them in some way. So at some point during a long fight in a steel cage, you're in a trapped environment. That's kind of hard to escape someone that giant for a long period of time. Eventually, he's gonna nail you with a blow, with like his arm or with his leg, or he's gonna swing his hand back or something, and eventually she's gonna take one hit, and that one hit alone is gonna cause him to take advantage of that opportunity, because she's gonna be disoriented or dizzy, and he can just pounce on her and start beating on her like a pebble, and like beating her senseless to the point where she's no longer, and she's all mushed. Now maybe she's still somewhat capable or functional, and maybe the adamantium doesn't make her completely into a puddle. Still, beaten to complete like no existence, your brain is no longer in complete tact and everything else, or he can still lift her body up and start throwing it around like Hulk did in that movie Avengers, with Loki. He could just keep swinging her until eventually she's no more. At the end of it all, it's sad to say that Lady Deathstrike, eventually time is not going to be her friend in a steel cage match against someone as giant and massive as he is. She would need to slice him super quickly, and I want to give her credit where credit is due when it comes to somewhat agility and reflexes, but speed, she's not going to be as fast as Solomon Grundy to be able to give her a blow, which means once he hits her and she goes down for dizziness, he gets the advantage, and then he takes this, so he gets that supreme W. So for this year's winner of the Villains in a Cell match, for 2023's May event, I'm going to give this one to Solomon Grundy. And as always, no press fam. We really appreciate you guys. Much love. Catch you guys later. Peace.